So 2 weeks ago, I released a video going over 12 websites that I thought every designer needed to know about. And that was such a popular video, getting over 21,000 views currently in 2 weeks. Well, I've got a pile more in reserve that I thought, let's take a look at creating a second video to give you even more amazing resources for your web design, for your websites, all those kinds of things. And without further ado, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to start off with Ahrefs. Now, you may be thinking, well, Paul, this isn't free, and for a lot of things, you're absolutely right. It is a very expensive service, and a lot of people just don't have access to the money they need. But it does have some free tools that I think, if you run a website, incredibly useful to have. So there's a list of these with the free SEO tools you can see on screen right now, and all of these are very, very useful. But the one that I want to show you is how you can monitor and maintain all of the backlinks to your site health, all those kinds of things. And this gives you a weekly report, or more frequently if you want to, but it just gives you a ton of really useful information all about your site. And you can obviously run this on client sites so you can monitor and maintain and help them create great strategies for getting even more users on board. So if we take a quick look at what I'm talking about, I've got currently a couple of sites signed up on this, but I've got 2 projects currently set up inside here. So let's just open up the WPTuts one and take a little look at what we have. You can see this gives us a health score of the site. So this is going to rank various different factors, more than I really need to go into it right now. It'll crawl all of the URLs. It'll come back and let you know if your rankings are increasing or decreasing, keywords you're being found for. Lots of really useful information, as well as some technical information to make sure that your site is running perfectly smoothly. So as you can see, we get a full overview. Now, I will say that when you crawl this for the first time, if you have quite a large site like the WPTuts site, all the different kinds of links that WordPress will create, this can take quite a long time. So just let it run overnight and you should be good to go. But there's tons and tons of really useful information inside here. You've got a full report. You can download CSV of all the different things like your internal links and things like that, or your internal URLs. Great if you want to replicate a site or make sure that everything is set up the way that you want. Your content distribution, lots and lots of what seems to be very technical. But in all honesty, you can just use this as just a health checker. You can use this to make sure that all your links are working perfectly fine. If you have problems with redirects, and we talked about redirects in other videos when we're talking a look at how you can speed up your site, this is a great tool for doing just that, and totally free. So next on our list is REMOVEBG. Now, this is a great way of using AI to remove a background from your images. And there's going to be lots of times when you're creating websites for yourself or your client, they hand over some images, they go, can we make that look a certain way? We want this kind of background on there and so on. And then you've got to go to the time and effort of removing that background. Well, that can be time consuming and frustrating and expensive if you have to just have Adobe Photoshop or something like that just for that particular job. So the site REMOVEBG could be incredibly useful. So what we need to do is upload our image first of all, or you can paste in a URL if you want to. So let's choose an image. We'll choose this particular one and we'll click on open. We'll let that go ahead and upload. So there we go. That's pretty much gone through and removed the background for us. If we want to, we can come in and edit this so we can get a little bit more control over this. You can see you've got various different options. You can go ahead and put different backgrounds in there. Lots of different ways in which you can use this. Now, obviously, the higher the resolution that you upload the image, the better. And it's not going to be perfect on every single image, so it might take a little bit of finessing, but it's very, very quick and easy to use if you just want to grab that image, remove a background from it, and then use that in your designs. Now, have you ever had a client come to you and say, I really like the look of that particular website, and you know that it's using WordPress, but you don't know what theme it's using, or you may have many other reasons to find out what theme a particular WordPress site is using. Well, there's a little website called WHATWPTHEME.com, which will allow you to do just that. So all we need to do is drop in the URL for the site that we're looking at. For this example, we'll use the WPTuts website. We'll click on the search option and we'll let it go and do its magic. It's then going to take a look at the code and find out what theme is being used on this particular website. And as you can see, it comes back and tells us the theme that's using is Blocksy. It gives us a link to the theme's homepage, the author, so we can very quickly go ahead and take a look at that. And then if we need to purchase a license, we can do that very easily. So WhatWPThemeIsThat.com is a great way of very quickly being able to find out what theme is being used on any particular WordPress website. Now, sticking with a very similar theme, I'm sure you've probably had clients that have said they want a particular feature. You've looked at the website and you've wondered, what plugin are they actually using on that site to do that specific kind of job? This could be something, I know for myself in the past, you tend to spend a lot of time just trying to find out, or just to kind of get a hint of what's being used to create certain features and functions. Well, we've got another one called SCANWP, which will scan a WordPress website and find out what plugins are on a particular page. So let's do the same thing again. Let's just pop in the URL that we want. We'll hit detect, we'll let that go ahead and do its magic, and then after a short period of time it's going to come back and give us some information. Again, it shows us what theme is being used inside here. You can see there's a link, there's tags and all those kinds of things, but we can also come down and find out any plugins that are being used on this. So we scroll down, you can see on the home page of my site, it's telling me that we're using the WP Compress Image Optimizer, Stackable Ultimate Gutenberg Blocks Premium, and Automatic Video Posts. These are 3 plugins that I've got installed on my site that do various different things. So we got a great start now to find out exactly what plugins are being used on this site, and then if we want to, we can take a look at them, find out what they do, if they're answering the questions that we need from our customer or what we're looking for ourselves, and go from there. So again, another really useful little tool, SCANWP. Now, sticking with websites, there's going to be plenty of times where you're coming up with ideas for clients and you're just like a little bit scratching your head thinking, I'm really stuck for inspiration today. I know that I spend a lot of time when I'm looking for designs for myself, for tutorials, for clients, just scouring various different websites to give me some inspiration and point me in the right direction for font combinations and color combinations and design ideas, just to give me that little spark. Well, today I've got 2 different websites I would recommend taking a look at, and they are linked in the description as always below. First up, we've got awards. If you go to /websites, this will give you great sources of inspiration for various different kinds of websites. So you can just quickly come through, you can pin these to Facebook, to your Pinterest accounts. You can have all manner of different links and things that you can use to just kind of get a real kind of ideas board together for a project simply by using the awards website and just scanning through. And you can open up any of these and you can take a look in more detail at the actual site itself, information about it, all those kinds of useful things. So if you're looking for inspiration, awards is a great starting point. Now, sticking with that inspiration, another place you can take a look at is Dribbble, and keeping that same kind of thing, Dribbble is 3 Bs. Again, I've got a link in the description to this below. Now, Dribbble, much the same as awards, has got lots and lots of inspiration on there, not just limited to websites. However, we're going to take a look at the website section on here. So you can see, again, there are tons and tons and tons of different kinds of web designs. We've got UI, UX designs, those kinds of things. So if you're looking to create a dashboard for a client and you want a little bit of inspiration, great examples inside here. And the same thing holds true. If we find something that we kind of like the look of, say for example this sushi landing page, we can click to open this up, we can get a larger view of it, we can get a really good idea of how it's all being set up. We can look at any additional pages and things for the designs and different sections of the site and so on, just to kind of get a real feel for this. And then when you're sort of getting that inspiration, you kind of get to the point where you think, actually there's some quite good ideas. Well, what you can do is you can create a folder, or you can heart these to add them to your favorites. You're probably going to need to create a free account on Dribbble to use some of these features, but it is free. It's a great resource for giving you inspiration for your designs moving into 2022 and beyond. It's a great way of keeping up to sort of speed with those trends that are emerging as they emerge, because you'll see designs that have a very similar aesthetic being posted on these different websites, and you can kind of get a feel for what's actually in fashion right now. And then you can create sites that are very similar if you want to. Now, when it comes to building websites, one of the things that a lot of people do is they like to prototype designs. Now, prototypes can come in all shapes and sizes. You could have fully fledged designs of home pages, contact pages, and sales pages, and so on. Or you could strip it right the way back to get the bare minimum. And that's where BALSAMIC comes in. BALSAMIC is not free, unfortunately. It's about $9 per month. But what it does is it allows you to create really simple, stripped back, bare bone wireframes that are literally just there to show how particular functions work. You want to create a mobile phone kind of layout? Well, you use that. You want to create a website layout? You can do the same thing inside BALSAMIC. If we take a look at some of the pages on the Balsamic website, you can kind of get a feel for the types of wireframes you're going to create. They are really basic looking. And the whole point is just to take away all of the distractions, colors, photographs, those kinds of things, strip it right the way back to the UI, UX experience. A great way of getting started. The thing I like about Balsamic though is not the fact that it's kind of just allows you to create wireframes. No, it's got 3 different ways in which you can work. If we take a look at the pricing options, there are 3 different types. There's cloud, there's desktop, and there's Google Drive. So cloud is basically you'll pay $9 a month for 2 projects and you use it as a cloud software as a service kind of application. Everything is done inside your browser. So that's pretty cool. If you want to work with a team, an agency, you want to call in different people to comment as you're going through creating the design process, you can do that and you can interact live. You've got the desktop, which is $89 per user, and this is a desktop application for PC and Mac, so you can download this and you can run this independent of an internet connection. And at $89 per user, it's not a massive sell. The third and final option though is the Google Drive integration, and this allows you to install some additional plugins into your Google Drive account. You can then use a very familiar method of working with Balsamic directly inside your Google Drive, and you get all the benefits of that. You also get the benefit of being able to simply drag and drop any of those kinds of designs into any documents you have as part of your Google Drive. So your docs, your spreadsheets, those kinds of things. And that comes in at $5 per month or $50 per year per user. So if you want to use this, you've got 3 different options. If you want to have just one payment and it's done, the desktop option is great. If you don't mind cloud and you just want general cloud, just use the cloud option. And if you like Google Docs, Google Drive, those kinds of things, then the Google Drive variant is pretty cool. So take a look at that, like I say, starting at $5 per month. No affiliate links, I just think it's a really cool tool. Now, there's been many times where I've had a client or I've picked up a new client and they've had a website and for some reason this site has gone offline and you don't have access to the design, to the site itself, to the content, various different kind of scenarios. How the hell do you get that information if you need to rebuild the website? Well, today we're going to take a look at the Wayback Machine or the Internet Archive, a totally free service, and I've used this many times. Actually, I used it very recently for a site that I inherited from a previous designer. So using the Wayback Machine, what you can do is you can simply search for a website. It will then show you the dates in which it's taken snapshots. And then you can just kind of go through that as if it was a normal site at that point in time. It's also really cool to go back and take a look at how bad your designs were 10 years ago. Believe me, I've taken a look and some of them were, we'll say no more. But what you can do is you can just basically choose a year to start off with. So let's just say we'll take something like 2007 to step right the way back. As you can see, this old website of mine goes right the way back to 2003 and actually before that. So let's go back, let's go to 2005. We'll click to open that up and it opens up then your timeline. You can see where you've got these blue circles, that's where it's taken snapshots. The bigger the circle, the more snapshots it's taken in that period. So you can see we've got 2 snapshots on the 4th of February 2005. Let's take the afternoon one. So that's now going to go away and it's going to pull in all of that design, as much of the content as it's got stored. Sometimes images don't show up inside here, which is understandable. There's so much kind of scope they're going to kind of create. But you can see this is a very early website of mine where I was doing free tutorials, free video tutorials, which obviously are not probably going to be on here. But if I wanted to, I can easily come in here and we've got the normal HTML versions of this. I can go through all the navigation, I can go to where I want, and I can just copy this content, I can read it, I can do whatever I want with it. But it's really useful when you have a client that's lost access to this site and you need to get their content as quick as is possible. So that's the Wayback Machine, check it out. Even if you don't want to use this for work side of things, it's kind of good fun to go back and take a look at some of the really bad designs that you've come up with in the past, or some of your competition has come up with in the past. Check it out. Now, taking us back to better design, we can't help but notice that gradients, especially multicolor gradients, are definitely something that's in fashion right now. And this is where a site like cssgradient.io can come in very handy. Not everyone is great at finding solid color combinations or creating good looking gradients, and this is a great way of doing just that. You can either start from scratch yourself by adding any colors that you want inside here, and you can use hexadecimal colors, you can use RGB and alpha channel colors, or you can just simply pick it as you want to. We can switch between radial and linear, so you can see we get these examples at the top of what it'll look like. And if you want to, you can fine tune this, you can upload an image and grab colors from it, you can drop in multiple different colors, you can adjust the position of your gradients. You can see it's very, very easy, very intuitive, really simple. And then underneath that, you simply get the CSS. Just all you need to do is grab a copy of that. If you want maximum compatibility to make sure it works with Internet Explorer 6 Plus, simply check the box and you'll get the extra code you need for your CSS. Drop that into your CSS file, target it, and boom, there is your gradient. Now, if you're not particularly great at creating your own gradients and you just want a little bit of inspiration, or you just simply want to grab something that looks great right out of the box, if we scroll down, you can see we can grab color shades, which are just gradient shades, but also we've got swatches. So if we browse the gallery of swatches, inside there you can see we've got a ton of pre-built swatches by other people. And all we need to do is simply come down and click on the copy, and boom, that will copy the CSS for that particular gradient. So we've got some great starting points right there to get us started to create great looking gradients, or we can, like I say, create our own fully from scratch by using the totally interactive way of working. Pretty cool. Now, have you ever wanted to create animations on your website but didn't have a clue where to start? Well, how about we take a look at CSS-based animations? That might add even more complexity to what you think is included when you work with animations. Well, there's a little website called KEYFRAMES.APP, which makes the process a lot easier. So once you go to this website, click on Create an Animation. This will then open up our little animation timeline. At the bottom, we've got our timeline. We've got some options then for the timeline itself, duration, whether we want to use easing and we want to sort of have direction control and so on. We've got a little character, which we can change if we want to. And then we've got all our options for our CSS properties on the right-hand side. So let me just show you really quickly how you can add a little animation effect in. Let's click to add a step. And now when we position this, we can see we can go over, and this is the percentage of the timeline. So right the way at the right hand side is 100%, anything in between is between 0 and that 100. So let's just say we'll add this at around about 20%. There we go. So now that's highlighted, you can see the CSS properties at 20%, something's going to happen. So let's just do something really simple. Let's just rotate this. We'll set this to be something like 90 degrees. Okay, so now he's rotated to 90 degrees. If we kind of go back to the beginning and we play this, you can see he now rotates. So we stop that, start again, right back at the beginning, he's upright and then animates to 90 degrees. Now that's a really simple example. You can start to stack these up, so you could say, well, let's add another point inside there, we'll add another step, I'd say 25% or 25%. We'll drop that in there and we'll just set that back to be 0 degrees. So put it back to 0. And now what will happen is you'll rotate slowly and then pop back up upright really quickly. That's a really rubbish example, but it's very easy to go ahead and set up all these animations as you want to. And then what you can do is you can save and load this, you can target various different things, and you can finally get the CSS. So we click on Get CSS, there's all the CSS transformation options, the percentage is the point in the animation timeline, it does it, all those kinds of things. Copy that to your clipboard, apply that, target it inside your page builder of choice or HTML, whatever you're working with, and boom, you've got timeline-based animations without having to write a single line of code yourself. Now, sticking with design aesthetics and creating eye-catching effects, how about we take a look at glassmorphism? Now, I covered glassmorphism in its own dedicated video probably about a year, 18 months ago, and it got a lot of interest. Well, this is a really cool way of creating the effect and doing it in a visual fashion very quickly. And then again, you can just copy the code that's needed to be able to use this in your designs. So you can see, again, we've got a really simple example. If you want to upload your own background image, you can do that, so you can make sure it looks exactly the way you want it in a certain environment. If you want to use this in a header, for example, upload your own header background, boom, you're done. But then we can go ahead and we can do things like we want to show the images, we want to hide those so we can just see the effect on its own, so we'll hide that. So we can see the effect of the glassmorphism. We can adjust the opacity on this to make it more transparent or more opaque. We can adjust the color of this, so let's just set this to be white so it looks like just clear glass. Adjust our opacity. You can control the blur amount, so if you want to make this really blurry or you want to make it really, really subtle, you can do that and adjust the opacity to make it a little bit more opaque. Do you want to have a border on there? Do you want to adjust the thickness of this? And you can kind of stack this up to kind of get a sort of like a 3D effect. I think it's a little bit overkill personally. I like about 1 pixel just to highlight the edges, to give it a highlighted accent. Then you've got your border radius. If you want to make this more rounded or you want to make it more square, you can do that. And it's all done on pixel value, so set that to about 4. And the glass color and so on, everything inside there. And once you've done that, you've basically got your effect ready. So now you can just generate the code. So we'll click on that and boom, there's your code. There's the HTML code. If you want to apply this to a div container, or if you're using a page builder, you can just assign an ID to the element you want and then target that with some custom CSS. Again, this is covered in my GLASSMORPHISM video. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description below. Once you've done that, copy it, paste it, job done. You have a great looking GLASSMORPHISM effect in your designs with no coding experience whatsoever. Now, sticking with designs, we all know that fonts play an important part in your design, but you don't always want to have to rely upon linking to things like Google Fonts and so on. So we've got CloudConvert and its font converter, which again is a totally free option. So what you can do is you can upload your font files and this will then convert this into various different formats. So if you want the Web Open Font format, or WOFF, you can use the WOFF converter or the WOFF2 converter, and then simply convert your fonts over to a web-based version, upload those to your server, and that helps you then when it comes to things like GDPR, where you don't link out to external sources. You can use this option to do it all for you. Really, really easy to do. Simply upload your file, choose the conversion option that you want, and then you can upload that to your site and you can have your font of choice in the format that you want for optimal options. Our final option today in this list is BLISK. Now, BLISK is an application that you can run on your PC, your Mac, or your Linux-based computer. You download it, install it, and then you have access to testing out your website designs across a multitude of different designs. Now, yes, you can do this kind of thing online, but having something local can be much quicker to work with if you want to test things out on lots of different designs quickly and easily. So check out BLISK. I think this is something you may want to take a look at just to give you the peace of mind that your site looks optimized across all the different kinds of devices you might want to have it viewed upon. And that basically wraps up today's collection of great websites that you probably wish you'd known about a lot longer ago. As always, all of the links for everything I've covered in the description below. If you didn't see the first video, I will link to that in the corner and also in the description, so you can find 12 more great websites you wish you knew about. As always, if you've got any comments, questions, or feedback, or sites that you absolutely love, drop those in the comment section. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.